Welcome to BioBites Explained. I want to ask you something personal. Do you wake up in the morning feeling like your body is fighting against you? Joint stiffness that takes an hour to shake off, brain fog that lingers well into the afternoon, a tiredness that sleep does not fix, digestive discomfort that has just become your new normal, an aching in your muscles and joints that your doctor has not been able to fully explain. If any of that sounds familiar, I need you to stay with me. Because there is a very specific biological process quietly running inside your body right now that connects all of those symptoms. And it has a name that you may have heard, but probably do not fully understand yet. It is called chronic low-grade inflammation. And after 50, it is one of the most significant and most underestimated threats to your health, your energy, and the quality of every single day you live. Today on BioBites Explained, we are going to talk about what chronic inflammation actually is at the cellular level, why it accelerates so dramatically after 50, what it is doing to your body right now, and most importantly, the one specific daily drink that research consistently shows can meaningfully reduce the key markers of chronic inflammation in aging adults. This drink does not require a prescription. It does not require a trip to a specialty health store. And once you understand the science behind why it works, you will never look at your morning routine the same way again. Stay until the very end. Because the preparation method I am going to share at the end of this video is the one detail that separates the people who get results from the people who try this and wonder why nothing happened. Before we get into it, drop a comment below right now. Tell me your age, and tell me this. What is your single most frustrating daily symptom? The thing you wish you could change most about how your body feels every day. I read every comment on this channel. Your answers directly shape what we cover next on BioBites Explained. Let's get into the science. What chronic inflammation actually is. Most people think of inflammation as swelling, a sprained ankle, a cut that gets red and puffy. That is acute inflammation. Your immune system doing exactly what it is supposed to do, sending resources to a problem, fixing it, and standing down. Chronic inflammation is something entirely different, and it is far more dangerous. As we age, the blood becomes filled with inflammatory signals. Pro-inflammatory proteins like interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and C-reactive protein appear in higher amounts, even in people who otherwise seem perfectly healthy. Wikipedia. This process even has a scientific name. Researchers call it inflammaging, a combination of the words inflammation and aging, and it is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of virtually every major age-related disease. Think of chronic inflammation like a fire alarm that will not turn off. There is no fire, or at least no acute emergency. But the alarm keeps ringing. And when an alarm rings continuously for years, it causes damage not from the original emergency, but from the alarm itself. Research consistently shows that people with elevated inflammatory markers have a higher risk of heart attacks and strokes, even after controlling for traditional risk factors. Beyond heart disease, chronic inflammation quietly drives atrial fibrillation, heart failure, cognitive decline, and has been linked to accelerated cancer risk. Wikipedia. And here is the number that should stop you in your tracks. Research examining over 41,000 adults found that high C-reactive protein levels significantly increase biological aging. Adults with elevated inflammation showed biological age acceleration of nearly 9 years beyond their chronological age. Substack, 9 years, not 9 months, 9 years of biological aging, driven by inflammation that most people do not even know they have. Why inflammation explodes after 50. Understanding why chronic inflammation accelerates after 50 is the key to understanding why the solution we are going to discuss works so powerfully. 3 specific changes happen in your body after 50 that create the conditions for runaway inflammation. The first is what scientists call immune senescence. Your immune system ages just like every other system in your body. As immune cells get older, a certain proportion of them stop functioning normally. Instead of doing their job and then shutting down, they enter a state where they remain active and continue releasing inflammatory signals without any real threat to respond to. They are essentially stuck in the on position. The second change is a shift in your gut microbiome, the community of trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system. Research shows that after 50, the diversity of beneficial gut bacteria decreases, while certain inflammatory bacterial strains tend to increase. Since approximately 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut, this shift directly amplifies inflammatory activity throughout your entire body. The third change is a decline in your body's natural antioxidant production. Your cells have sophisticated internal antioxidant systems that neutralize the free radicals and reactive oxygen species that drive inflammatory pathways. Key antioxidant enzymes like superoxide, dismutase, and catalase decline measurably with age. As they decline, oxidative stress increases, and oxidative stress is one of the primary triggers of the chronic inflammatory cycle. All three of these changes compound each other. Immune senescence produces inflammatory signals. Those signals travel to the gut and disrupt the microbiome. The gut disruption amplifies immune activation, and declining antioxidant capacity means the resulting oxidative stress goes unchecked. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. The good news is that each of these three mechanisms has a specific vulnerability, and the drink we are going to discuss targets all three simultaneously. The drink and why it works. The drink is a specific combination of 3 ingredients prepared in a particular way and consumed at a particular time of day. The 3 ingredients are fresh turmeric root or high-quality turmeric powder, fresh ginger root, and black pepper, combined in warm water or warm plant-based milk. Now, before you think this sounds too simple or too familiar, I want to walk you through exactly what each ingredient does at the biochemical level in an aging body, because the mechanism here is far more sophisticated than most people realize. Turmeric and curcumin. Turmeric contains curcumin as its key active compound, which provides strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Research points to meaningful benefits for inflammation, joint discomfort, and overall cell protection. YouTube. Curcumin works through a specific mechanism that is particularly relevant for aging adults. It directly inhibits a protein complex called NFKB, which is essentially the master switch for inflammatory gene expression. When NFKB is activated, it turns on dozens of genes that produce inflammatory proteins, including the interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein we discussed earlier. Curcumin blocks NFKB activation. Think of it as reaching into the fuse box and pulling the switch that the inflammatory cycle depends on. Multiple large reviews of clinical trials have found measurable reductions in inflammatory markers, including HS-CRP with curcumin supplementation. YouTube. Ginger and Gingerol. Ginger contains a compound called Gingerol, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory. It may help reduce the production of inflammatory molecules like prostaglandin and leukotriene, as well as pro-inflammatory cytokines, NIH. But ginger does something curcumin does not. It also works directly on the gut microbiome. Gingerol and related compounds in fresh ginger have been shown to selectively support the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, while inhibiting certain inflammatory bacterial strains. Given what we discussed about the gut inflammation connection in aging adults, this makes ginger a particularly important ingredient for anyone over 50. In clinical research comparing turmeric and ginger on inflammatory biomarkers, both showed significant reductions in C-reactive protein compared to placebo, with researchers noting that each compound works through distinct but complementary pathways. YouTube. The combination is therefore more powerful than either alone. Black pepper and piperine. This is the ingredient most people leave out, and leaving it out dramatically reduces the effectiveness of everything else. Curcumin has one significant limitation. It is poorly absorbed by the human digestive system. Studies show that when curcumin is taken alone, the vast majority passes through the gut without being absorbed into the bloodstream, where it can do its work. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine, and piperine has a remarkable effect on curcumin absorption. It inhibits the enzymes that would normally break curcumin down before it reaches the bloodstream. Research shows that adding even a small amount of black pepper to turmeric increases curcumin bioavailability by approximately 2,000%. 2,000%. This is the detail that determines whether this drink works or does nothing. Turmeric without black pepper has a fraction of the impact of turmeric with black pepper. It is not optional, it is the mechanism, the science behind the results. I want to share the story of a man named Gerald, 64 years old, retired engineer from Denver, Colorado. He came in with a constellation of symptoms he had been managing for 3 years. Chronic joint pain in his hands and knees that made his mornings miserable. Persistent fatigue that he described as feeling like he was operating at 60% capacity. Digestive discomfort that his gastroenterologist had labeled as nonspecific inflammation. His C-reactive protein, the key blood marker for systemic inflammation, was at 4.8 milligrams per liter. Anything above 3.0 is considered elevated for cardiovascular risk purposes. Gerald was not on any anti-inflammatory medications. He was not a smoker. He exercised regularly. His diet was reasonable, but his inflammatory markers were consistently elevated with no clear single cause. We added one thing, the specific morning drink I am going to share with you in a moment. Nothing else changed. At his 3-month follow-up, his C-reactive protein had dropped to 2.1 milligrams per liter, below the elevated threshold for the first time in years. More meaningfully, Gerald told me his morning joint stiffness had reduced dramatically. His energy had improved to a point where he was completing his morning workouts for the first time in 2 years. And his digestive symptoms had largely resolved. He described it as getting his mornings back. Gerald's case is not exceptional. It reflects what the biochemistry predicts. When you consistently provide the ingredients that directly interrupt the inflammatory cycle, at the right dose, in the right combination, prepared correctly, the body responds. The exact preparation method. Now here is what I promised you. The specific preparation method that makes the difference between this working and not working. Most people who try turmeric drinks make one of 4 mistakes that significantly reduce their effectiveness. Let me walk you through each mistake and the correct approach. Mistake 1, using dried turmeric powder without checking quality. Most grocery store turmeric powder has curcumin content ranging from 1 to 3% by weight. High-quality turmeric powder standardized to a higher curcumin content is significantly more effective. If using powder, look for products that specify curcumin content on the label. Fresh turmeric root, available in most grocery stores, contains natural curcumin in its most bioavailable, whole food form. Grating approximately 1 inch of fresh turmeric root provides a meaningful dose without the quality variability of powder. Mistake 2. Skipping the black pepper. As we discussed, without piperine from black pepper, most of the curcumin will pass through your system unabsorbed. A small pinch, approximately 1/4 teaspoon, is sufficient. You should not be able to taste it strongly. Mistake 3. Using cold liquid. Curcumin and gingerol are both fat-soluble compounds. They dissolve and absorb better in warm liquid and even better when combined with a small amount of healthy fat. Preparing this drink with warm water or warm oat milk or warm coconut milk significantly improves absorption compared to cold water. Mistake 4. Inconsistency. The inflammatory cycle that has been building in your body for years does not respond to 3 days of an anti-inflammatory drink. The research on curcumin consistently shows that meaningful reductions in inflammatory markers occur over 8 to 12 weeks of daily consumption. This is a daily practice, not an occasional remedy. The exact recipe, 1 cup of warm water or warm oat milk or coconut milk, 1 inch of freshly grated turmeric root, or 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder, half an inch of freshly grated ginger root, or half a teaspoon of ginger powder, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of raw honey if desired for taste, 1 teaspoon of coconut oil, or a small amount of whole milk to support fat-soluble absorption. Stir well. Drink warm. Every morning. Before or with breakfast. The 3 lifestyle amplifiers. The drink is powerful, but 3 specific lifestyle practices amplify its effects significantly when combined. The first is morning movement. Research shows that resistance training and consistent moderate physical activity produce meaningful reductions in C-reactive protein and inflammatory cytokines in elderly adults. MDPI. Even 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking every morning produces measurable anti-inflammatory effects by reducing visceral fat, one of the primary drivers of inflammatory cytokine production. The second is sleep optimization. Deep sleep is when your body produces its highest levels of anti-inflammatory hormones, including growth hormone and melatonin. Consistently poor sleep is one of the most powerful drivers of elevated CRP. Protecting 7 to 8 hours of sleep in a dark, cool room directly supports the anti-inflammatory effects of everything else you are doing. The third is reducing ultra-processed food. Ultra-processed foods contain compounds that directly activate the NF-κB pathway, the same inflammatory switch that curcumin works to inhibit. Consuming the drink while continuing a diet high in ultra-processed food is like trying to bail water out of a boat while the hole is still open. The drink helps, but reducing the primary driver helps more. What to expect? Honest timeline. I want to be completely honest with you about what to expect and when. In the first 2 weeks, most people notice modest improvements in digestive comfort. The ginger component of this drink is rapidly active in the gut, and gut-related symptoms tend to respond first. By weeks 4 to 6, many people notice improvements in morning joint stiffness and general energy levels. These are the symptoms most directly tied to circulating inflammatory markers. By weeks 8 to 12, if you are consistent, blood tests will typically show measurable changes in C-reactive protein and other inflammatory markers for those with elevated baseline levels. The people who do not see results are almost always the people who are inconsistent, left out the black pepper, used cold liquid, or used low-quality turmeric with minimal curcumin content. The mechanism is real. The preparation matters. Here at BioBites Explained, this is what I want you to carry with you today. Chronic inflammation is not an inevitable feature of aging. It is a biological process with specific mechanisms and specific vulnerabilities. And you have in your kitchen right now 3 ingredients that directly target those vulnerabilities if you use them correctly. 1 warm drink every morning with the right ingredients, the right preparation, and the commitment to consistency. Turmeric, ginger, black pepper, warm liquid, small amount of fat. Every morning without fail. Your inflammatory markers did not rise overnight. They will not fall overnight. But 8 to 12 weeks from now, if you do this correctly and consistently, you may find yourself telling someone about the morning you got your energy back, the morning your joints stopped fighting you, the morning the fog lifted. Start tomorrow morning. If this video helped you, please subscribe to BioBites Explained and share it with someone you know who has been struggling with inflammation, joint pain, or persistent fatigue. Every week we go this deep into the science of aging well after 50. Your support makes this work possible. And now I want to hear from you. Are you going to start this tomorrow morning? And what symptom are you most hoping to address? Leave your answer in the comments below. I read every single one.